Welcome to Off Topic, our scrappy little sports podcast where we always go off topic. Okay, we have a very special guest with us today. We're very thrilled. Chel Sanghera is joining us live in studio. Chel, welcome to Off Topic.
Guys. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so there's a few topics you want to talk about. We have an assortment of, how do you describe crystals?
Yes, crystals, earth energy.
Earth energy. Okay, so we're going to get to this. If you want to see a replica of this, just look at Matt Macri's lower back. He's got that tattoo. But first, we want to talk about Chasing Hope. So the Chasing Hope Foundation, you guys had, I guess you call it an event. Was it last weekend, the weekend before? Weekend before?
April 5th.
April 5th,
yeah.
So I'm going to let you take over. What was the whole thing going on?
So we initially just put it out there, didn't know what we're going to get. And so we actually sold out the first session in 3 days. So it was 100 kids the first session and then 60 kids in the second session. And what was really awesome about that whole thing is the BC Lions, their 50-50 goes to amateur football.
Right.
And the BCCFA gets a portion of it. So BCCFA takes that money and they have just the VCFL under them currently. But we like to run programs that are available to everybody. So this program, they donate money to Chasing Hope from that. So BC Lions did partner with us and they did send out 2 lions out for us. And it was a great day. And the messaging there was we partnered with Air Raid Academy as well. So they did the field work with some of our coaches. And it was to bring the kids in and teach them a few concepts. The kids today are in the hustle bustle of go to school, after school activities. You know, when you guys were kids, I'm sure that the mom and dad dropped you guys off at the front of the school and you ran in and played some sports or whatever and then lined up.
You got dropped off?
No, I walked.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You can walk,
I
right?
walked.
Yeah.
And so for the kids today, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't quite look like that at all. Mom and dads usually walk them to the door. Not saying that they shouldn't. It's a today's world.
Yeah.
But we didn't have mom and dad around. And I always go back to me as an athlete. My dad, I think, came to 1 t-ball game. I played t-ball, volleyball, basketball, and I was the captain in high school of my field hockey team, MVP.
Ooh. We're amongst royalty, ladies.
So
There's
anyways,
Dave Rooney.
what I was going to say is I used to come home from school and my dad never went to my games. 1 t-ball game I think he went to. But I came home from school and I would literally sit there and he'd be eating dinner after he's watered the garden and did whatever he did in the shed.
He was a busy guy.
He was busy. And he would say, what happened? And I would just tell him this happened and whatnot. All of this going on. I was okay. He was a good dad.
Yeah.
So in today's society, a lot of the parents think, we got to do this, we got to put him in all these things, and we got to go there. And they're stressing themselves because there's a standard now of what a good dad looks like and what a good mom looks like. That's an external thing, though. If you didn't know any different, you would just love your father for being your father and being there for you. It didn't have to come in different ways. So with the kids for today, when we went to camp, the interesting thing is I did ask them, after you lose a game, are you sad? And they were like, no! And then I said to them, what about your parents when you get in? Do they complain about the coaches, the referee, and the game and the way of the other team? And they all went even louder. Yes! And so then I looked up to the stands and I said, see, parents, what it is you're going to go through life. You're going to have experiences through life. You're going to have a lot of experiences. But if you talk, and you know this being on the boards.
Yeah.
And I did bring this up as well, is when you go to a game on Saturday and something goes astray, a parent sends in a complaint. We all, as board people, we have to review that complaint. Now they've just transferred that energy to us. Now we're trying to have time with our family, whatever, but we've got this big complaint. And then we talk about it. They go to practice on Tuesday, carry the emotion of the game with them on Tuesday. The parents stand around, have their coffees, watch practice, and talk about it again. Now the kids are hearing this, right? And then we have to send a response and transfer back what the response of that energy is, and then they have to take it in. What are we doing? We're carrying a Saturday youth game over into weeks,
the whole
and you've
week.
known it's gone into months.
Months.
And so literally
Months.
what we were trying to teach the kids is to live in the moment and let go of the moment, experience the moment. Life comes within you. One of the other things that we were there to talk to the kids about is being your own best friend. So I don't think we teach the realities of life. I'm not sure. Do you still have your best friend from when you were...
No.
How about you, Tim?
We keep in touch. There's some extenuating circumstance there, but we do keep in touch. on and off.
Absolutely. And so the thing about it is there's nothing wrong with that, but we tend to think that we get attached to emotions, friends, and everything, and then when it doesn't appear the way that it's supposed to, we don't have the resilience or the bounce back. And also we have so much noise going on, and we haven't centered or grounded or know how to get to a place. So what we did was teach the kids or send them a message. I wrote them each a letter. So 160 kids. Ugh. It was a lot of late nights. But
Each kid got an individual letter, or they got the same form letter?
different.
Wow.
I wrote, my daughter thinks I'm really crazy. She watched me do it.
She's not wrong.
I think my resting heart rate was 160 over 100 by the night before. So, but the idea behind that was for them to remember that they are their own best friend. That's the only person. You wake up in the morning, you're going to go through life. You might move away. All these experiences are going to happen to you. The person that you need to be your best friend is you.
Yeah.
And the voices and the things that you tell yourself are the most important thing. So the camp was a success. Chase Claypool, he came in for sure. And Friday night, he says, "Mama," and he texts me a text, and I'm getting my pedicure and not still worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. He's like, touchdown. I'm in the motherland again. So obviously he showed up the next day, and when Chase comes to town, he always comes with stuff.
Yeah.
So they ended up getting gloves and cleats and him
so
hopping
nice.
around. My organization of the camp goes right out the door when Chase walks in, because he decides he's going to be a Pee Wee player again.
Yeah.
And he's doing all this stuff. And, oh, no, we're doing this now. Oh, no, we're doing that. So I think what the kids got to see, and Chase is a great example. I'm going to say this. He's a great example. A life journey where he lost his sister to the struggle. He didn't come from marital parents that were married or anything, but they get along great.
Yeah.
He came from down the street from me, and it was just right here in Abbotsford. He's gone on a journey that was unbelievable, amazing. Yeah. If he didn't do, I always say to him, if you never did one more thing with your life, you've already taken me on this great whirlwind. Yeah. But he comes back into town, and he doesn't skip a beat.
No.
You know, and I think, a lot of parents came up to me and dads were like, do they even know who he is? And I went, this is the kind of energy that we need to keep away from us, because it's not who he is. No. It is the energy that he brings. It's his experience. It's his bounce back, his resilience. It was a great day at camp. We had a really good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
Good. I was sad. I was going to come, but my mom went in for surgery on the Thursday prior.
Yeah.
So I was with her on that weekend. And I was pretty sad that I didn't get a chance to make it out there. 'Cause seeing the pictures, it looked like it was a blast. And it was another beautiful day. It proves God loves football. Yeah,
It was rain the whole time. And then that was the last thing I had to talk to the universe about.
Yep.
And then I pushed through, and universe delivered.
Yep. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chasing up huge success. BC CFA news, VML news, VFML news,
VCFL.
VCFL news. Anything new and exciting coming on the horizon you want to talk about?
We did just have our AGM that was online, and I guess what we were trying to do in that AGM is, again, it ties back to the things that we believe in. And now we're at the VCFL level. It's just the VCFL. We don't have everybody else. So something like funding for us is not going to be the same moving forward. And we're not mad at the BC Lions, or, the allocations are going to be different because we don't have that much membership, right? I think it was a beautiful day because I think we all were very grateful. And I think when it comes to the VCFL, and people say, why don't you just join the PSO? Why can't you guys just join the PSO?
And the PSO being?
Provincial Sports Authority.
Right.
Right. And we're not under that
organization.
Yes,
PSO.
and we're not under that umbrella anymore, even though we were the ones who created that umbrella. But the thing about it is, it's again back to the intangibles, things that you cannot measure. Energy, it all ties back into energy, the feelings that we have. Quite often people will come in to organizations or parents that are there for 1 or 2 years, and all of a sudden they have little Johnny on the team and they want to, be part of a provincial, right? So the real push is get together and play that provincial. And so I think what we highlighted, David Rooney, Jay Spencer, myself, was you guys are saying join the PSO so we can all be a part of a provincial. Bigger things are happening here. And things that we would lose if we joined the PSO. So I think it was a great day. We had Jamie Terrace out, BCFC, Tyler was out. It was good. It was a good day. It was a good day. I think, the world is changing, and I think there's a lot of awareness going on. So I'm really
Nice.
happy.
Okay, excellent. Now, you have all these wonderful crystals and the like in front of us. Macri's tattoo. This is, I think, 5th dimension, correct? So what's going on with this?
So I guess in my football journey, when I was on the football journey, every time I went anywhere, everything I did and got involved with, it was always very energetic, a high vibrating. My teams, my volunteers, the people that I worked with, we had a good run. Matt's sitting here, but he was part of that journey with me for a long time. And I've always been blessed with opportunities and people who will help me and assist me along the way. So when we were in Falcons, then I went to VCFL presidency, I used to always look at things differently. And I realized really quickly that not everybody looked at everything the same. So when I would be a president at the league table, I would actually come in, the first thing I would do is hug everybody that came, and I love them. And even the guys that sometimes were under, we're just like, this guy's a terrible board member. He just comes in to complain, or he just wants to do it his way and everything. And
But you still talk to Matt, though. That's the incredible part.
So the thing about it is, I always had a love for football, and I always had a love for people. And I really understood, and that led to me not eventually leaving the presidency, was because I realized that I could see something different. And my hashtag was Harmonious League, right? And we really did. I was a president, and I think I'm going to go down in history in saying that I was the league president that knew kids on every team. Yeah. And I would cheer for all teams, and I would get out there, and I knew so many people. I would do the marketing myself. That kind of vibe was very, very appealing, and a lot of the times, a lot of people were drawn to that, and they didn't understand it. They were like, why is she up at night? I wouldn't even go to sleep. I would, stay up very, very late. The story that I'd like to share is, though, in 2012, I had this couple, this mom and dad, that were volunteers for our club, and they were together 20 years. They had about 5 children, and they wanted to do their wedding. That was their dream. But they didn't have the funds to do that wedding. So I decided on the Valley Championship Day that we were going to do the wedding after that. And I was going to find a way to fund them this wedding. And the president in 2012 said to me, Chel, are you going to do this? The Valley Championship. You've got Adam, Pee-wee, JB, Bantam. Somebody's going to lose. Your amateur is going. And we were really scared because Hunter LaRock was over there, and they already, at Chilliwack Giants, they were already we were neck and neck with the Chilliwack Giants. But one of my coaches, and these are the kinds of people that I have on staff with me, it didn't look like we were going to be the Chilliwack Giants. So we went in there that day. Adams won, Pee-wee won, Junior Bantam won, and then it was the last. And then we had this wedding we had to go to. One of the quietest coaches we have, Mike Husworth, we actually thought we were going in to actually lose this game. And the reason why we even thought so too is because on that particular day, Chase wasn't even on the team. Coach Cole decided that Chase was benched that day. He wasn't going to play. So not only were we gonna possibly lose to the Giants, but we didn't even have the star player there. But Mike Husworth came in. The game started to play. Things started to look in our favor, whatever the case was. But Mike Husworth came to me and said, here's my car keys. And this is a single man. older man, lives on his own. I said, here's my car keys. And I said, why? He goes, go at halftime. He said, go to my car. There's cake from Costco, paper plates. There's drinks in there. Take it out. And I said, how did you know? How do you know? We're only at halftime. He said, I just knew. And so these are the things that my journey was, it was always magical. The whole journey into football has been very magical. I went to Notre Dame High School, Chase went to Notre Dame University. Blake Hebert is another one who's in the Valley, and he's quarterback, and he's going to start with Notre Dame. He got recruited to Notre Dame.
Yep.
I went to Notre Dame. I was bullied the first year of my attendance. When I went to grade 8, I sat behind a football player and ahead of a football player, Robbie and Sean. Sean was the coach's son. They were football players. My dad, I was the only brown girl. I was the only brown girl at Notre Dame High School. Those boys decided, you went to class as you rotated classes in this private school, Catholic education, and they would go with me to every classroom I went to, and they were in my ear bullying me the whole time.
It's awful.
It was amazing. It was just amazing.
It was amazing, everybody.
And you know why?
Get the champagne.
I love it. If I see Robbie and Sean today, I am going to tell them. I was like, why am I at this football AAA school? Why am I here right now? And so years later, when I went on the Orange Helmet Selection Committee, where do they have that? At Notre Dame High School. Anyways, I stood up for myself. Robbie and them, they came back, they apologized, whatever, the damage was done. But what it made me, I wasn't scared of those. And my life, as the years progressed, football players loved me. Yeah. I made it past them, and they even probably didn't make it past high school football. And I went a long journey with football. So the thing is, I think what we're trying to teach the kids of today is it might present itself one way right now, but it's teaching you something. And that's where life flows from within you, right?
Yeah.
And you create your moments and you work through those moments.
When it's one of the things that I learned working underneath you, because when Chel was president, I was vice president of the Falcons. And then I stepped into president, and she was president of the VCFL, and I was a vice president. And one of the things that I learned at ABC, all the recruiting, all the stuff we did for that, everything we've ever done, it was that if you just keep moving forward and doing the things that you need to do, it all works out.
Yeah.
Be positive. As soon as you say, I can't, or it won't happen, or you start to drop back and be negative, you start to bring it falling down on you. Yeah. And if you go forward doing the things that you need to do, everything comes together.
So when we talk about crystals, the earth makes these kind of things. We buy our wives flowers.
I don't, but anyway.
Right? So I have a lot of women who want this. This is from the earth. Was a rock, right?
The wine I get my wife is from the earth too. It starts with grapes, but anyway,
yes. And so the earth is always if you do know anything about the Schumann resonance, which you probably won't, but the earth is always vibrating, and also we're always vibrating at a level. So what we try to do is stay what we call high vibes, and so a little bit about this is kind of what I was doing in my football journey. And people always say, what made you so amazing? What made you so grounded? Why didn't you get it? There was critics a lot. There was a lot of things that happened to me along the way, right, to us. And the thing about it is, I guess when you're busy is what I'm trying to say. When we were born here. And we then were named, we were told who we were. Then we went to school. The teachers told us to live the standards like they told Shador and everybody, follow the standards, be a good boy, say the right things, get good grades, and do everything right. So now they got that, the kids got that going on. And then they grow up, and what is it? Find a good job, go to school, be a good husband and a good wife.
Buy a house, get married.
Buy a house, get married, get the nice car. Woo! Well, I did that. and I'm going to tell you, I'm 50 years old this year, and there's no there is no thing. What we forget now is that all the magic happens when we're not doing that all the time, when our brains are not so busy. Fifth dimension is about not telling you how to live your life. It's about learning to replug. So in the morning when you get up, take a moment for yourself, whatever that is. Go outside, have your coffee, look at the mountains, take your feet off, go stand on the grass. Be centered. That's the reason why we're here. Then go out and do your day. But, we would use a tuning fork like this because, in the day you're at work, something's going on. Sound frequency. It's gonna clear something. That whole sound. Stop. It doesn't matter if your boss is yelling at you. It doesn't matter what pressure you have. The only way you can get out of that is to go back to the core of who you are, right? But we're so busy right now. And I think a lot of people are this is very popular, by the way.
Yeah.
This is very
Huge.
popular. And it's popular because we're not thinking anymore. We're overthinking, actually. We're not in a peaceful place. And this is what we need right now. And I always say, the people who are here before us, they could tell a lot of things about life. And they lived a very simple life. And maybe it's better because we have homes and toilets and stuff. But is it really better? Like, we're racing around every day, trying to pay the mortgage, trying to make the car payments, trying to put food on the table, complaining about the government. Like, everything is just crazy. Do you think that's the reason why we came here? So I tell everybody, use the tools, go within, find your purpose. And that's really fifth dimension. It's a 3D, 4D, 5D consciousness, and it's the conscious level that you want. So a lot of the times when I'm dealing with people and they come at me at a 3D level, and that means they're in the cycle of, I'm just going to go to work, I'm going to come home and hate life, and then I'm going to eat dinner and wake up. The comments that come out of their mouth are always going to be negative because they can't see any joy in life.
Yeah.
Right? Then the people who are on a 4D level, those are the people I would call like volunteers who can see there is some joy in doing things with community and all those things. And then there's the 5D people who are not about masking anymore. 3D are the people who are masking. They're never going to tell you what's really going on with themselves. They're not going to tell you what's happening in their lives. They're going to be masking. They're going to leave the house every day and act like their life is just amazing.
Yep.
But a 5D person, it doesn't have to mask. A 5D person can say, hey, we all live life and we're more similar than you realize. So it's just a thing that I do. And I didn't really come out with it. It was very, very hard for me. Once you get to a place that I did in football, there's a lot of people who knew me. And so I finally decided, I'm not going to be a 5D person coming down to satisfy 3D people and serve 3D people because they couldn't see that. So if someone came at me and said, Chel's, on glue. Literally, she's like in her doom.
Chel
right? You know what I mean? And then I was like, why am I here? I'm putting on events for you. I'm making, these beautiful game days, mini Super Bowls everywhere for you.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this for your children. I mean, we went out during COVID and got vaccinated and put masks on, and people were yelling at us through the fence, and it was their kids who were playing in the championship.
Yeah.
So this awakening for me was like, actually, my masking was the other way. I was trying to calm myself down to fit in on a 3D level. And what I realized is I'm living my best life by just telling people this is the way I choose to live. So when I see a 3D person, I say they're living at that frequency. I live on a 5D frequency, and a 5D is always about self-reflection.
Yeah.
So I'm glad your son has joined me.
Well, yeah, and both my daughters too. They have a lot of your stuff crawl across their desk. I work with both my daughters, and their desk got a lot of crystals and stuff. I've actually got a bracelet. I took it off at work the other day.
Did you lose it?
No, my hand, my hands swell because of my arthritis.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's really tight, and sometimes it fits nicely. But I wear it quite regularly. I've always been a very positive person. I like what you said about getting up in the morning, taking that time to get grounded, and I do exactly that. If it's a nice day, I go out on my patio. If it's rainy day, I stand in my garage, right? And I open the door and I say, good morning to the world. I never start a day not bad, right? When people say to you, how are you today? Not bad. Why are you starting out there, right?
Yeah.
People say to me, how are you today? I'm fabulous. I'm fabulous. Life is tough. The world's going to come at you. Don't start halfway to bad, because it doesn't take long for them to beat you down. Start at fabulous and make it work, And I say that to my kids all the time. Come out with a positive attitude and things are going to go well for you.
And I think that it goes back to, we're supposed to live experiences and not be, our thoughts shouldn't be other people's thoughts.
Yeah.
And it goes back to everything. So we're watching TV all the time. We're watching the news. Someone tells us this is bad. Someone tells us this is good. And we all just go, okay. So now if I come here today and Tim asks me something, is the right answer the one that I heard on the news today, what everyone's opinion is? Do I even have a thought of what the answer is anymore? So the kids today, and this is why Chasing Hope is so important, the kids today, they don't even have a thought. They can't even live their power. They can't be Shador.
Yeah. Yep.
Because all they knew is to go and do this because it'll get you to the NFL. Do this, it's going to get you to university. Do that, and it's going to do it. Now they're going to go that whole way. Do you think it's going to be the best moments of their lives? No. And I've talked to a lot of athletes.
Anxiety.
Yeah, you have to live in that box.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is, when the kids today don't have a moment of quiet time, and it's also like what I would go back to when I'm saying I love that parents go to all the events.
Yeah.
But there was a freedom, and I know you guys are going to remember this, just coming home on your bike, screwing around in the neighborhood. Mom and dad aren't hovering on us. I mean, that's when we, made some real good memories with the kids around the block or the neighborhood. And it wasn't like everyone was around. That freedom gave us independence. We learned how to walk to the corner store. We knew how to deal with the money thing. We had all this stuff, you guys, that they weren't there. But you can't blame the parents of today either, because everybody listened to, this is now what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is the way it should be. And so now everybody is following that. And then we say to the kids, oh, it was better when we were young. But we're the ones who created
We taught them. Yeah.
Because we're scared that they're going to get kidnapped, or that the teacher's going to see something wrong, or that the coach is going to, if I'm not there to tell the coach I know who you are.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, I think we're so disconnected from actually some independence. You know what I mean? Some time to think. And that was when I think of myself as a little girl. We'd head out the front door, and sometimes Mom would yell, "Chel," and I'd hear her. And I mean, just when you look at your life today and look at the kids' lives today, there was joy in the simplicity of just running around bare feet. You know?
Yeah.
And here now we're like, you're barefoot, you wash your feet, you can't go in the house, you're going to get the couch dirty, and the visitors are going to come over, and we see a dirty house.
That's why you have plastic over your furniture.
Yeah.
That's why the plastic's there.
Yeah. No, I have to agree with you. And I like what you said about being your own best friend. It was funny because we were going camping, and we had booked from the Wednesday or the Thursday to the Monday, right? But Melissa had to go to work on the Friday. And I said, well, yeah, just take the truck and go to work. I'll hang out at the campsite. By yourself? Well, I'm okay with hanging out by myself. I'm my favorite person in the world. So I could have a conversation all day long, right? I have absolutely no problem being alone. But there are people that can't, and they couldn't conceive of a day at a campsite where I had no cell service, right? So I couldn't communicate with the rest of the world and just be at a campsite by myself. I loved it. It was one of my favorite days camping. So you got to be your own best friend.
You do.
You got to think, we talked about that Og Mandino, Greatest Miracle in the World, right? Is a book that I read years ago where it talks about if you do not think you are the greatest miracle in your world, nobody else does.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to have that, Now, when it comes out as confident, it's great. When it comes out as cocky, meh. When it comes out as arrogant, you gotta maintain it as well. I think I'm fabulous. I'll tell you I'm fabulous, right? But I don't bring anybody else down.
And so the thing
Except
about
Tim.
it is,
I'll take Tim down. Every
I
day.
lift myself up.
Tim is awesome because
All the
you can
way.
pick on Tim.
Yes.
There you go.
But the thing about it is, I think I'm fabulous. I'm not going to put myself down.
Yeah.
So when I come to, and especially men, right? I can my coaches, 48 of them. Boom, I can tell them every damn day what I've accomplished, and they're going to know. And they actually want to coach for me because they said, we don't have to worry about nothing. This lady's going to market it, advertise it, bring the kids, recruit the kids, organize the whole event. And so the thing is, for me to turn around and say to anybody, well, I'm not that great. I'm not great at singing, but I love to sing. I love to sing. I love to be a dancer. I love to be, in a rock band, for sure. That's another lifetime for me. But this thing that I do, I'm really good at. And the thing about it is you shouldn't humble anybody for that. If you know, and that was one of the big things for me yesterday with Shadur, is like, if you know who you are, I've always wanted people who are enthusiastic. Because I can tell you right now, even when I go anywhere now and I'm on a mic, people are not happy. So they're just sit there. And we were at camp and I said to the parents, you perform now. You keep telling us, you drop us at the football game and you say, get out there, listen to your coach, run as fast as you can, make those tackles. Stand beside your coach, do all this. And the kid said, yeah, that's what they do. So I said, okay, moms and pops, let's see what you can do, right? And I kid you not, the universe must have known because they put on, I go, DJ, Johnny, put on the song. Put on a song for the parents. I want to see you perform. Get up. Show some enthusiasm. You send those kids out every day to be perfect. To answer coach, yes, coach. To run the ball, make those tackles. You send those kids out and you say, we're watching you, taking pictures, doing little videos. But no, you're not living it. And the thing I do with my children is, there is nothing my children can come to me. When I speak to them, they know Mama's up at 4 a.m. Mama's doing what she needs to do. So when I turned it on them, guess what? They didn't even stand up.
No.
Do you know how much has changed since my son was in Pee Wee? Back in those days, we could play a Queen song and everybody on both sides of the stands would be out. So they're like sitting there like this. Well, there's 2 parents who had kids with me that were in ABC and in the game. And so they were up in the stand. They got up right away. And it was Rasputin, my favorite song ever. I love Boney M. And that song, I was like, my mouth went to the floor. Are you kidding me, DJ? This is my jam.
Yeah.
The parents were sitting up there and they were like, didn't move. And I said, this is the reason. This is the reason, you guys.
Sure wasn't the Rasputin that was the reason?
No.
Because I don't think I would have moved too much with that.
I get up that song all the
But
time.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you that it has changed, whether people want to deny it or not. There is a change in enthusiasm
totally.
and yourself.
Yeah.
And I know people are upset, but I tell you for sure, one thing, take a moment, take a book, even in your mind, and do your highlight reels. Look at where you guys are right now. Look at the things that you have done in your life. Look at how far you've come. It doesn't need to be something amazing. I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. But when I look at the things I've put my efforts into and what I've aligned myself into, I have something to be proud of. Same with you guys. And I can recognize in that. So there's a difference between saying, I love myself and I'm better than anyone else. No, I love myself, but I do crystals because I want you to love yourself. I do tuning forks because I believe you guys are amazing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I love myself. I think I'm freaking amazing, and I don't think I'm better than anybody. I am the best me that's out there.
How about you, Tim?
Yeah.
Say it.
He's fabulous.
I am Tim.
I am Tim. I am an amazing Tim Amy.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's other Tim Amy's in the world, and they're their own Tim Amy's. But yeah.
I have to agree with you. I think a lot of it has to do with when you look at the younger kids, the younger parents, right? The internet did a lot of damage in chat rooms. Social media, chat rooms, the online video games, talking trash, people could hide behind their controllers and be mean.
Yeah.
So people stop taking chances because they didn't want to hear the noise. I didn't care. I don't care now. I didn't care then. We're doing a talk show on the internet that probably 12 people watch and not even on a regular basis. Because why? We want to.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there in life. You got to enjoy your life. You got to live your life.
And the thing is, when you go back to saying, like, whether people watch it or not, they wouldn't even, if they even said a criticism towards that, they don't do this.
Yeah.
So the thing, it goes back to everybody, and I guess this will keep being my one for this weekend, JJ. It's literally goes back to people will always comment, but they've never been there themselves. They've never stepped out of it themselves. They've never sat here. They couldn't even do what you guys are doing. And so at the end of the day, nobody else matters. And that's what we taught the players of this camp. Everybody outside you, external stuff is all. Life is within you, right? And so that's all that matters. And what I call everybody around is backdrop people.
Yep.
So what I do is, and I love that you brought video games up, is when you're sitting in Nintendo, right? And that's what I'll bring my reference to, because I did Nintendo. Dun, 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 and you know, like, get the guy. Come on, let's get up. So life is like that. And so I guess on another note, the way that I would explain it, if you were deeper into the healing, would be your life as you come in, step out of it. So I step out of it and I see this character. Her name is Chel. And I see her and she's like on level 1. Then she's got to go to level 2. And she's going to have scenarios. And she's going through this video game. And every time she can bounce back from a scenario, get through a level, she's polishing up. She's getting better. She's getting to know herself. She's going up the levels of the game. Life, I would say to anybody who came to me, is the remote control is actually how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
It's about the healing you've done. So you're not going to take offense, right? So when you're highly masked, you're at level 1 of the video game. Like you're highly masked. You're like, I can't do this. I can't post this. I can't say this. My parents are going to care if I do this. My wife is going to get mad if I do this. My children are going to get mad. My boss is going to get mad. There's all this stuff, right? The game is really for only you to experience, and then you're going to die. So I always say I'm 50 minutes into my life play. Because this play might go 70 minutes.
Yeah.
It might go 80 minutes. I don't know, but I'm 50 minutes in, right? So at this point, it's like, just like any NFL story you watch, they always have this climax. The best stories is like, he bounced back from this, he bounced back. Like you're sitting there crying. Cole is like sitting down, Coach Cole is like, and you know why? Because this kid went so, what is that kid who was in the draft? His mom died right after he got drafted.
Derek Herman.
Yeah,
Derek
you know what I
Herman,
mean? That is an amazing story.
Yeah.
It's
heartbreaking.
It's a story of what your experiences pushed you to be. And so experiences are never a bad thing. And death is not a bad thing. If we were more aware that we would die, I think we would play that video game better.
Yeah.
And the way you control the remote control, and everyone's like, well, I can't control the game, Chel. Like I can't control how to maneuver this game. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And the way that you can is you take a moment to shut down the noise in everyone's opinion. And then you're like, okay, I still got to live in this society. So I can't really do bad stuff, right? But I am going to do stuff that I want to do. And I'm not going to let these blockages stop me. And blockages are just literally your own self telling you. So in the end of the day, when someone tells me, well, I can't do that, then I just say to them, oh yeah, you can. You're right.
You're right.
You're right, you can.
If you say you can't, you
because
can't.
you've made up all these reasons of why you can't.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, the video game scenario, I love video games because when people do go into video games, and there's a lot of gamers in our life, and I can tell you, they go into these video games, it's actually shut off from thinking. They're just like playing that game.
Yeah.
But when they play too much, I think the parents get mad. But the point is, your
Way too
life
much.
is yours to experience. And I think what we failed in telling the children of today and ourselves, and I'm going to own this one myself. I was sitting on the couch with Cole, and I said to Cole, remember when we were kids, you had a Jeep, and we'd be driving down the highway, and I loved it. And he would play Sting, right? He loved Sting, and he'd play it, and I loved it. And then I said, and then all of a sudden it progressed. Like we got married, we had children, we moved to Abbotsford, we were East Vanners, and all this stuff. And then I looked at him and I said to him, Cole, there is going to be a moment, though, that this is going to come to an end. And it's, this how we feel right now is going to come to an end. Because one of us is going to have to exit first or cross over first. And I said, or it could be you, it could be me, it could be the children. I'm not really sure what it is. How much more precious is the moment that we live in now? So and he said, oh my gosh, Chel, you know what? He said, yeah, if we took into consideration how much living in the moment, instead of going, I want to do this someday, start to be that person and live it right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there is no someday. And you know this. You travel, you have fun, you do enjoyment. But the point is how we speak to each other would be a lot different. Why I never got mad. Every time I got mad at somebody on the boards and stuff, I'd phone them right away or I hug them right away after. I mean, there's one that we all know. He was really mad at me. And, you know, I went up to him one day and I kissed him on the forehead out of the blue. And he was like, we're not supposed to be liking each other. No, because it's an experience. We both learn something.
Yeah.
So whatever presents itself to you, it's just a learning thing.
Yeah.
And when you're healed, guess what? Tim can say something to me right now. You can say something to me right now. I wouldn't even get mad because I would just say, they don't know any better. They're living from their experience.
I think you're fabulous. I'm an ignorant jerk. Okay, thank you very much. I think we better wrap up.
Yes, because I can talk forever.
Forever and ever.
We go on forever. But
So remember, like, subscribe, and comment off topic with Tim and Matt. YouTube, we want to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much,
And what are we
Chel.
going to tell them? They're amazing.
You're
amazing.
And you're
Yeah.
amazing. Yes, don't ever forget that.
tell yourself that.
Yeah.
We can tell
Be
you
your
that.
own best friend.
You got to believe it.
In here, in your soul. Okay. Thank you for tuning in for Off Topic with Tim and Matt, the scrappy little sports podcast where we always go
Off topic.